Welcome to your daily dose of salt and light with Nadine Ness. I am going to be very salty today. I'm really disappointed with a lot of elected officials in this country, and it's very clear they do not understand how to lead, especially how to lead in this specific situation. And that's with how to deal with Donald J. Trump and the tariff war and the tariff situation. They're not getting it. And I keep thinking, okay, maybe one of them will. Maybe one of them will understand what is actually happening. Maybe one of them will take a page from Danielle Smith, which I just realized I didn't look to see what she was saying, but maybe I'll have a quick look after while we're playing a video or something. I'm so disappointed in Trudeau, which I shouldn't be surprised about. It's He's just doing the same thing he's always done. He's being divisive. He's being an idiot. Okay, I shouldn't use that word. He's not being very strategic. I'm going to use that word instead. But let me know where you're watching from, if it's on Facebook, Twitter, or even what town you're watching from. I like to kind of see where everyone's watching from. And David, if you're watching it, I'm going to bring this up later. I couldn't message you yesterday, so I couldn't find your comment because it's during the live stream. It didn't show up on YouTube. So if you're watching again, when I'm done this show, comment, and then maybe I'll be able to message you, or I'll wait till you come on. You usually come on pretty much every day. So, so if you're watching, David, say a comment so I know you're there. And for those who don't know, David was trying to get an email from me, or he wanted to email me something, and I didn't have like an email I could give out publicly, but I do now. So, okay, let's get into it. Might as well. I'm gonna share the tweet announced yesterday. So basically, Trump said this in a news conference. I don't have the information for it, but he basically said that the tariffs were still coming this morning. So the tariffs are in effect as of 12 o'clock this morning. So Charlie Kirk says, breaking: President Trump's tariff on China, Mexico, and Canada have officially taken effect as of midnight Tuesday morning. Oh, when did he post that? Yesterday? Yeah, sorry, I got distracted. The way he wrote it is as if it has already taken effect, but maybe. U.S. imports from China will be subject to a new 10% tariff on top of the initial 10% tariff he imposed on Chinese goods last month. Canada and Mexico will have a 25% tariff levied on imported goods, with a carve-out for a lower 10% tariff on Canadian oil imports. Every nation on the planet wants access to the American market, the largest in the world. If you want to avoid tariffs, stop the flow of drugs into America, stop the migrant invasion, and stop cheating in trades. Or you can manufacture your product in America and hire American, and we'll roll out the red carpet for you. These are the new terms. I'm just looking at the comments. So Firecracker is from Saskatoon. And Neil Ness, which I think he's related to my husband. I think we figured that out yesterday in the comments. He's watching from Wainwright. Opportunist says, but I'll vote for him anyways because screw another years of liberals. Yeah, Opportunist said earlier, Pierre is falling into the trap. There's no national pride right now. It's all manufactured BS, starting to think he's just another dud. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm usually a supporter of Pierre, and I'm probably still going to vote for him because I think the liberals are not an option, and that's the option we have. However, I'm very disappointed in the way he's been handling this situation. It's clear that all advisors around him are falling into the trap of TDS, Trump deranged syndrome, because they're not advising him properly. I'm going to make a post later on today basically saying what I would do. I'm gonna talk about it here. If I was in his position, what I would do as someone to lead this country out of this. My thoughts on it, I think I understand Trump a little bit better than some of them. Probably because I'm not clouded by TDS. I used to be. I used to be just like most Canadians, absolutely hate Trump. And look, I don't think Trump is perfect. I don't for a second think he's like God's answer to all of humanity's ailments. Some people do. I'm not one of those people. I don't think he's perfect. However, I do understand what he's doing. He's putting America first. And I'll talk about that too. So the people who are watching this can understand why I believe that. So this is what Charlie Kirk had to say. Now, I'm going to play a video here. It's 30. I've got that video somewhere else as well that's longer. Give me a second. I'm going to find that video. But and then I'm going to come back to this tweet because it shows what Trump just tweeted. Oh, sorry. You guys can't see the whole thing. Let's go back. Trump tweeted following, actually, I'll go in the right order. Let's see what Trudeau said. And then we're going to talk about what Trump's response to that is and what I think that means for Canadian, which is way worse than what people are realizing. And that's why I think both here, just give me a second. I've got to find that video. I want to show the full one first. There's a lot of like edited like clips of it, but I think this is the longest one. Let's share that. Let me know if anything doesn't work right, like sound or I love having live video because then I can tell.
To one specific American, Donald. In the over 8 years you and I have worked together, we've done big things. We signed a historic deal that has created record jobs and growth in both of our countries. We've done big things together on the world stage, as Canada and the US have done together for decades, for generations. And now we should be working together to ensure even greater prosperity for North Americans in a very uncertain and challenging world. Now, it's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal, but Donald, they point out that even though you're a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do. We two friends fighting is exactly what our opponents around the world want to see.
So if you were Donald Trump watching this, what would be your thoughts? With the narcissistic personality that Trump has, what would be your thoughts? Like, how do you think he's going to react? Well, this is how he reacts. He tweeted on he posted on Truth Social. Here, we're going to bring it back to that. Please explain to Governor Trudeau of Canada that when he puts a retaliatory tariff on the US, our reciprocal tariffs will immediately increase by a like amount. So this was posted, it says at 1:40, March 4th, 2025. So whatever Canada does, Trump is going to do worse. We don't have the cards. I don't understand why the people leading this country are not understanding we don't have the cards. They're behaving like we're the most powerful country in the world. They're behaving like small man syndrome. You know, when you have like the guys that are really short that can't really fight but wants to fight everyone, but then ends up getting the crap kicked out of him. That's how they're behaving. So what would happen if Trump does this? Canada will suffer even more. I've got a few tweets here I want to share with you guys, but I want to make sure I got it in the right order. I want to share another video by Trudeau. Trudeau said a lot of really, really dumb things. I'm going to use that word. If he's going to use it, I'm going to use it. I'm going to share this video.
So today, the United States launched a trade war against Canada. At the same time, they're talking about working positively with Russia, appeasing Vladimir Putin, a lying, murderous dictator. Make that make sense.
This angers me so much.
Canadians are reasonable, and we are polite, but we will not back down from a fight. Not when our country and the well-being of everyone in it is at stake. At the moment, the US tariffs came into effect in the early hours of this morning, and so did the Canadian response. Canada will be implementing 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods, starting with tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods immediately, and tariffs on the remaining $125 billion of American products in 21 days' time.
Yes, Neil. Neil says this is so dumb. Now, the way he starts this conversation. Okay, I'm going to pause. What the heck is Jolie wearing? They keep talking about like this is a war, and there she goes and wears an outfit that looks like it's like an army soldier outfit.
So today, the United States launched a trade war against Canada. At the same time, they're talking about working positively with Russia, appeasing Vladimir Putin, a lying, murderous dictator.
The fact that he even brought this up, it makes me so angry. I'm so angry. I got to find that audio of Trump where he was at CPAC and said, "I'm so angry," so that I can push a button and play it here. But what an idiotic thing to do. Trump is not working with Russia in creating more trade opportunity with Russia. He's trying to end the war. What really bothers me is that you're going to have a whole bunch of Canadians all over Canada is going to watch this, and they're going to think that Trump is teaming up with Putin for trade, doing trade with Putin, and instead putting barriers on Canada. That's what a lot of Canadians who are going to watch this are going to think. This is how misleading it is. And it makes me so upset because a lot of Canadians are going to be completely deceived. And nobody's going to be there to tell them otherwise. Mainstream media is not going to do it. So if you have like one of your family member that's watching this and saying Trudeau's doing such a good job, you should send them this episode. So maybe their like view of Trudeau or worldview of what this whole tariff war means, maybe they'll be awakened to the actual truth. I'm going to share a lot of data today too to get you guys to understand how this is the worst possible move he could do. Oh, I'm so angry. Oh, this is another part of his little speech that is idiotic.
We're going to choose to not go on vacation in Florida or beach or wherever. We're going to choose to try to buy Canadian products and forego bourbon and other classic American products. And yeah, we're probably going to keep booing the American anthem. We're going to choose to not go.
I feel like I need to pray a little bit because right now, like, swear words are coming into my mind. We're going to boo the American anthem. Do you know what the American anthem is for? Like, have you forgot all of history? And they make it sound like the US is like dropping bombs on Canada and actually going to war with Canada. All they're doing is saying we're going to incentivize people to buy within our own country instead of buying from all these other countries because the trade barriers that have been put in place are not fair to the US. They take a lot more from us than we take from them. That's what Trump is saying. And not only that, that's when it comes to the trade. His main issue is the fact that we haven't secured our border. We've allowed a whole bunch of immigrants to come in that haven't been properly vetted. That's created a security risk to the US because a lot of extreme terrorists have come into Canada and tried to go to the US. We've allowed fentanyl products or fentanyl products to make fentanyl to come across our border without monitoring it. Super labs are creating it in Canada and then it's going into the US. We've taken advantage of them. We haven't secured what we were supposed to secure. And the US for many years have taken us for granted, as in they've thought we would do all of this properly because we're a first world nation. But we haven't. And you can just see by the amount of fentanyl that's been seized in the last little while, even just a little bit, is more than what would be needed to kill all of Canadians, which means it's not made for just Canada. It's made for the US too. There's been many drug seizures in the US that were coming in from Canada. There's been seizures at the border. And Trump said, take care of your house, clean this up. And we haven't. What did we do? We prorogue government. So there's nobody talking about it. We've announced all of these things with no voting on the money. The money's not allocated yet. It's just been talked about being announced. It's not even in place until Parliament comes back. It can't be voted on. Neil says, my brother is a snowbird. I think a lot of people are, but the Canadian dollar is so crappy right now. A lot of people are not going to the US. I was just there in Washington a couple weeks ago, and the exchange rate was abhorrent. So because of that, everything costs way more. So I think a lot of people are staying back. My parents are some of those people that decide not to go to the US because it just costs too much. This was before the tariff war. I'm just looking here. Neil said, I seen yesterday that people leaving Canada at record high rates. Businesses are going to leave Canada in droves. Philip says, Trudeau is a very weak drama queen and doesn't work for the interest of this country. No, I completely agree with that. Let's see what else I got here. I just realized I'm not in the right screen. This account is funny if you don't follow them. Justin Trudeau's ego. I've just officially retaliated against President Trump's tariff by calling him dumb. Yeah, how do you think that's going to go? Yeah, we've already played that video, so I'll skip that. Now, this is a video March 3rd by Brian Lilly. I'm just going to make it bigger so you guys can see it and hear it too.
First email I get after Trump announces his tariffs is someone saying, F Trump, F the tariffs, cut off all the oil, cut off all the energy, everything. It's as if Canadians don't think we've got to stop reacting to Trump every day with an irrational emotional response. Let me walk you through this. If we cut off all energy supplies to the United States, then we cut off energy supplies to ourselves. So a lot of people in central Canada and Ontario and Quebec having great bravado when it comes to Alberta's energy. But let me explain how it gets to you in Toronto or in Montreal. It comes via Line 5, which runs through Michigan. It supplies Michigan and a lot of the states surrounding there before coming onto Canadian soil again in Sarnia, in Ontario, where it supplies a lot of the jet fuel for Pearson. It supplies home heating. All these fuels are produced and brought in via Line 5. Well, we cut that off. Guess what? The Americans will cut us off. And where do we get our oil and gas other than projects like Line 5? A lot of it is imported from the United States. They will cut us off as well. Do we want to be frozen in our homes? No gas for our vehicles, no gas for the buses, no jet fuel for the planes taking off at Pearson? Absolutely. Be angry at these tariffs. Absolutely. Demand a response, but don't be so stupid as to cut your nose off to spite your face just so that you can feel good, smug, and superior while everyone else is freezing in their homes and losing their jobs.
Good, smug, and superior. I have other examples of that I'm going to bring up here. I gotta find it. The whole Starlink, where did it go? Here it is. Oh, wrong one again. I don't know who Tabitha is, but all bluster if Ford doesn't cancel Starlink today. Starlink's been weaponized against Ukraine so blatantly that the EU stepping up to secure them an alternate. Going ahead with Starlink is like handing the guy, the current robbing your house, the keys to your van. This is how like idiotic some of these people are. They obviously don't understand what happened in Ukraine. They didn't weaponize Starlink against Ukraine. Starlink is not allowed to be used for any war killings. So they shut down when it was being used against for war. If anything, they've helped Ukraine, giving them internet and access where they needed it. But this is just an example of like, there's so many of them. Let's see if I have. No, it's not here. Oh, and funny, they shut off the comments. But there's all these people calling for the Starlink contract to be removed. I have another link here, but I can't find it. Give me a second. If you remember when it was first announced, here it is. This is what I wanted to show you guys. When it was first announced that the tariffs were coming, Ford had this like big like huff and puffing and tore up the contract, and then the tariffs were paused, and then he's like, never mind, putting all the pieces back together pretty much. Anyways, this is how many people are so clueless to the way people live in the world. And I'm going to give an example. It's people who live in the city. They are clueless as to why Canadians might need Starlink because they're used to having access to internet easily through the cables, through the networks that are in the city. Unfortunately, for people who live in rural communities like myself, we don't have access to internet. Starlink is the only option we have. I personally have Starlink. You're watching this episode. I'm able to live stream this episode because I have Starlink. Was there other opportunities? Some of them, there is opportunity if there's a cell tower close by. I'm not one of those locations. I barely have cell service in my home, so it wouldn't be an alternative opportunity for internet. Now you have all these city folks, like you can look at all the comments. Time to rip up the 100 million Starlink contract Premier Ford Nation did. Tabitha, another one of those. Cancel Starlink. Now is the time to show everyone that you are Canadian and not a Trump Musk lapdog. If you don't, then we know. Ford Nation. Like, look at this. Until Doug Ford cancels Starlink contract, he cannot be taken seriously. Do you know what it means, canceling it? That means people who don't have access to internet will not get access to internet. What else could that mean? The only way these people are going to get it is if they're going to put cables that are going to cost billions of dollars to feed throughout the whole province. These are all people who are acting based on emotional response and not thinking critically because it doesn't affect them, right? If they had Starlink or needed Starlink, it wouldn't affect them. And not only that, the people who would get Starlink based on this contract are not the people like myself who can afford it. I can afford Starlink. I can buy the dish. I can pay the monthly fee. These are people who are usually low income who can't afford it. The ones who can already would have it. So not only is it affecting rural people, it's affecting more the poor people in the rural community, but people don't care about that. I'm going to huff and puff and act like a entitled little brat. And I'm going to start demanding we cancel something that doesn't affect them, but it affects a whole bunch of other people. Anyways, I'm trying not to get like angry at this behavior, but I'm just so freaking tired of Canadians being so brainwashed into this, like, dogpiling into this narrative that the US is our enemy, the US is having war with us, the US is going to come and invade us, we need nukes. Like, that's another talking point that Chrystia Freeland, let's bring that up. Let's bring Chrystia Freeland, what she was saying. I got to find it here. Here, this is what Chrystia Freeland was saying. British nuclear weapons can protect Canada against Trump. Liberal Party leader Chrystia Freeland, running to replace leftist Justin Trudeau, has said. There's another thing here. British nuclear weapons can protect Canada against Trump, says Trudeau party candidate Chrystia Freeland. First of all, UK doesn't have nukes. They're being stored in the US. They don't have nukes in the UK. They're all being stored in the US. This is how, like, idiotic and clueless these people are. So what? You're going to nuke the US because they don't want their American citizens to buy from you instead of their own country? Like, are you guys even listening to yourself? Like, what, you guys who are watching this, are you not, or the people who are following along with this, like, is something not, like, clicking on that? Okay, this makes no sense. I have a hard time having patience for Canadians who are going along with this. Now, what does it mean, the tariff or the counter tariff that we plan on doing? How does it affect the US? Like, that's another thing they keep saying. It's going to affect the US just as much as it affects us. It's another lie that's being sold so that they can push this fear mongering, this threatening to Canadians. What do I mean by that? This is a graph here by Rupa Subramania. I don't know if you follow her. She's suggesting, why isn't Pierre Poilievre making the case for not retaliating against the US when the economics is very clear that retaliation tariffs on the US will have minimal effect on them, but will be doubly devastating for Canada? Why is he in lockstep with Trudeau? And this is the graph here. And the source is Warwick McKinnon, Megan Hogan, and Marcus Nolan, The International Economics Implication of a Second Trump Presidency pie chart. Projected percentage points change of inflation from baseline forecast for each country. Tariff retaliation by Canada and Mexico would cause higher inflation than otherwise in all three countries. So who would be more affected? Mexico, Canada. Look at the US. Look at that. Just a blip. Next. So I'm just looking here. So what was Ford's response? I thought I had it, but I'm gonna go over Pierre's response. Whoever's advising Pierre, if anyone's watching this, if you're close to Pierre, someone needs to tell him this is not the direction to go. And I think that's why he's tanking in the poll, to be honest. He's saying the same thing as Trudeau. So if they're going to vote, why not vote the way we've always voted, left? He has to lead the way and actually be a leader who can show Canadians how we get out of this, who can show Canadians hope. He's not doing that. It's all doom and gloom because he's following Justin Trudeau.
At 12:01 a.m., President Trump stabbed America's best friend in the back. My message to the president is this: Canada will fight back. We will defend our people and our economy, and we will put Canada first. There's no doubt that our economy will suffer, but so will yours, President Trump. In fact, you're already paying the price, with trillions of dollars erased in stock market value over the last month of these threats. Already, Americans are paying higher gas prices as at midnight, a new American gas tax kicked in on U.S. working class taxpayers and motorists. Your workers will soon start losing jobs they had upgrading Canadian raw materials, which, by the way, you were getting at an incredible and ridiculous bargain. And your businesses will be selling fewer products to your closest neighbor. And that's only the beginning. While Canadians are slow to anger and quick to forgive, once provoked, we fight back. And we will fight back.
Bromsley said, Pierre once said the failure of many conservatives in Canada was moving to the middle to capture the votes in pride. Yet here we are. I'm going to make a post. Hopefully it'll go insanely viral later today. I'm going to tell him what he should be doing. Here's an home builders association here saying how that's going to affect us in Canada.
U.S. tariffs of 25% on Canada will be problematic. They, in and of themselves, will have muted effect on construction costs here in Canada. What will affect our market more will be our own counter tariffs and, most importantly, the impact the U.S. tariffs will have on our overall economy, which in turn will affect housing starts. U.S. tariffs of 25% on Canada will be problematic. They, in and of themselves, will have muted effect on construction costs here in Canada. What will affect our market more will be our own counter tariffs and, most importantly, the impact the U.S. tariffs will have on our overall economy, which in turn will affect housing starts. U.S. tariffs of 25% on...
So someone in the comments asks, threatening sovereignty is not a left or right wing, a right thing. What do you want Pierre to do? Just bend the knee and kiss the ring? No. However, in this war, Canada is not going to win it. Canada is not going to come at the top. We have to recognize the cards we have. We're going to the negotiating table with a really, really poor hand. We have really poor cards. And that's a big part because of our own failures at the way we've run this country. Now, if I was in charge, if I was Pierre, this is what I would do. I would phone up Trump and say, hey, I've been hearing you're really not happy with the current trade negotiations we have, the current trade contracts we have. I'm willing to come to the table and negotiate with you on this the next time if I become the next prime minister. That's what I would do if I was Pierre. What would you like it to look like? Open up that conversation. Have they done that? No. Trudeau hasn't done that. He said, if you put the tariffs, it's going to affect us. It's going to affect us. Don't do that. And then Trump jokes. And instead of saying why Canada shouldn't become the 51st state, he goes on. They're talking about like nuclear weapons right now. Are you guys for real? Not only that, they're saying we're going to shut off oil and gas to the US, not even realizing that most of the oil and gas that feeds the East Coast comes back from the same pipeline that goes to the US through the US. Like, Trump is looking at us for what the joke that we are. And we are. Like, instead, they should have said, let's renegotiate the trade agreement. There's a lot of things I'm not happy with. He's listed some of the things he's not happy with. Some of the things might be perception that he has that aren't even accurate, but nobody's bothered to take the time to sit with him and actually explain that, like the banking. Let's look at the tweet that Trump just did here. Here's the tweet. Canada doesn't allow American banks to do business in Canada, but their banks flood the American market. Oh, that seems fair to me, doesn't it? Now, this is not even true. If there was like proper relationship between Trump and Canada, this would be like an easy conversation to kind of clarify the fact. Where are you getting that, Trump? We do have a lot of Canadian banks, American banks allowed in Canada. List all of them. Like this was even community checked. Bank of America, Citibank, Capital One, and JP Morgan and Co. operate in Canada. But there's no open communication, and there's not going to be when you have Trudeau calling him dumb, saying what he's doing is dumb. I don't actually think it's dumb. I think it's very strategic. What is it creating? It's creating a push for a lot of companies with a lot of capital to move to the US. What am I talking about? It's so easy to figure out what Trump is doing. If companies move to the United States, there are no tariffs. Not only that, he said any companies that move to the States that spends like or brings in 100 billion or more will have all red tapes pre-approved. Everything will go faster, smoother. We're going to prioritize approving you guys. What does Canada do? We bring in capital gains. Has anyone announced not bringing in capital gains? We carbon tax them. Mark Carney is saying that he's going to do this hidden carbon tax to big industries. Do you think they're going to want to move to Canada and settle in Canada? Do you think they're going to want to stay in Canada? No. When the other opportunity is going to a land of freedom and prosperity, which is America. That's what is happening. All of these billionaires and really rich people who have companies in Canada right now, they're looking to the US and saying, "Oh, that looks much better than here." That's what's happening. And when you have people like Pierre saying that same kind of language as Trudeau, going after Trump, you know what that's doing? That's confirming within themselves that the best move is to move to the US. And not only that, it's creating huge resentment and resentful sentiment in the West, in Saskatchewan, Alberta, and some of BC, some of Manitoba. That's gone way up. Almost everyone I know wants Alberta, Saskatchewan to separate. And the majority of them want Alberta and Saskatchewan to join the US for this opportunity. If Pierre doesn't realize this and change his tune, he's not going to keep polling as good as he has. He has to show Canadians the other option, the other avenue that brings more hope and prosperity for Canadians. And he's not doing that. He's doing the exact same thing as Trudeau. Wow, there's a lot of comments. I'm going to see. Okay, Sideshow Brush says Poilievre is not in power, can't have failed us. You don't know what you're talking about. Yes, he is failing Canadians because he's not giving another option. I want to vote for a different option than the Liberals. And so far, he had been doing pretty good at that. This is the first time that I truly see this as a failure. And I'm disappointed in him. I like Pierre. I have a conservative membership. I like my MP. He's really not dealing with this situation properly. You can disagree all you want. These are still my opinions. If he's doing the same thing as Trudeau and it's not working, it's likely not the right avenue. Let's see what else I've got here. There's a lot more examples of what I'm talking about. Companies deciding to come back to the US and put their money in America. I just got to find it here. Where is it? Apple just announced they're basically moving everything back to the US. Honda announced they were doing the same thing because they don't want the tariffs. Now, my personal opinion, do I agree? Sorry, I'm trying to find it. Did I not save it? Here it is. Apple to spend $500 billion in America. As a proud American company, we're thrilled to continue make significant investment in the US. Today, we're announcing a $500 billion commitment to support American innovation, advanced manufacturing, and high-tech job creation. That's what happens when you make the announcements you do, the way Trump is doing. This is the results of a 10-year weak government who has not done even the basics of responsibility, fix the border, keep Canadians safe, not homeless and hungry. I don't like Pierre yapping like liberals. Sideshow Brush says Pierre didn't go after Trump. You're lying here. No, he has in many videos. Opportunist. Don't read my comments anymore, please. That's kind of funny. Well, if you comment, I highlight them. Golda Matilda says it's been hard to do business in Canada for years. I'm just checking to see. Gary says, are you that foolish? He wants our energy and minerals. Yeah, he can already get it. He already gets them at a discount rate. And the thing is, if Canada puts things in place to make Alberta, Saskatchewan that have all the minerals and the oil and gas, if Canada makes it difficult for Alberta and Saskatchewan to thrive like they've done in the several last decades, you know what's going to happen? It's going to push them to want to join the US, where they know it's going to be open freedom for not extorting, but extracting all of those oil and gas and minerals. Like right now, that's what's happening. They're making it seem a lot better to join the US. And look, I'm not advocating for people to vote for the PPC. I don't think that's an option either. I'm advocating we should be talking about and be more public about our thoughts and try to reach the PR team so that they can at least change their methods of dealing with this situation. They're not doing properly. And I've done that before. I remember a few weeks ago, I made a post about how they kept saying carbon tax election. I made a big post and say, look, you need to move past that. Like, that's not what we're dealing with as Canadians anymore. That slogan is not working. You need to advance with the time, change the slogan, give us hope, give us a future instead. And what did they do? They changed the slogan to Canada First, which I think is a much better slogan to begin with. I just don't think that Pierre should be doing anything to egg on Trump. And I do see the reaction of Trump showing exactly what Pierre's been doing. He's been trying to distance himself every chance he can and almost like saying negative things about Trump while he's doing it. And he's feeding into the media narrative. I'm so tired of conservatives being afraid of media painting a narrative and attacking them and not doing what is right. He's doing this to kind of please the media, please Canadians. Instead, he should probably try to teach Canadians, why would Trump want to be doing this? And he could say, I admire Trump for wanting to put America first. I admire Trump for wanting to bring more industries into the US, and he sees this as the best way of doing that. I might not agree with it being the best way, but maybe have that conversation on media and say, I can see why he's doing this, and this, but this I don't think is right. He hasn't been doing that because he doesn't want to say anything positive about Trump because he's afraid media is going to grab that and try to link him to Trump, which they've been doing. They're going to do either way. It doesn't matter what you do. At least listen to your voters, the Canadians, and what they're saying, and conservatives, what they're saying, but they're not. I'm just looking at the other comments. There's so many. DJ says, unfortunately, you're wrong. Only about 15% of Albertans want to separate. I don't think that percentage is actually accurate. I think it's much higher than that, and I think it might be over 50%. And I'm actually waiting. Somebody's doing a poll on it right now. I asked them to do a polling, so a company who's really reputable. So we're going to get some of that data soon. I don't think it's 15%. Where did you get 15%? If you have a link, share it with me. Okay, so sideshow, if Pierre didn't go after Trump, why did Trump respond, he doesn't like me? Where did Trump get that? I'm just checking the other one. I'm not talking about this morning's speech. I'm talking about all the speech he's had when it comes to the tariff war. Miss Bromsley says, our federation treats the West like a milking cow for the Laurentian elites. Firecracker said, Carnage Carney himself moved his Brookfield asset management office to New York. Inventory manager says, this reminds me of the Soviet Union collapse. Canada is just another federation going to economically collapse. Provinces will become republics and cut their own deals. And so someone said, have you looked at the stock market? Anytime any big change happens that people don't understand, like what this is going to mean for a country, anytime that happens, stock market reacts in a negative way. It's always happened. It doesn't mean it's going to stay there. Trump has a long-term game plan. So he looks at to the long-term possibility for the US. And a lot of people don't have that mindset. They just see today, what am I going to do today? What is it affecting me today? Not how is it going to affect me in 5, 10, 15 years from now. Trump is a business guy who's been extremely successful. He thinks 10, 15, 20 years ahead. There's a lot of people in government that do that. So he's, even if the stock market is crashing today, it doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. When you have big companies like Apple saying, hey, we're going to put $500 billion into the US, or car manufacturing company who wants to avoid tariffs say, we're going to come and build the cars in the US. So we're going to move everything here. When you have companies like Brookfield moving to the US because they don't want to face the capital gains tax that's happening in Canada, they're going to move to the US. When you start having all these big entities and countries moving to the US and having profits in the US, then you're going to start seeing those numbers come back up. So even though it's going down right now, anytime a big decision is made, it's going to affect the markets. The question is, what is the prediction for it in 5, 10, 15 years from now? Most people plan ahead in their lives. Well, maybe not most people, but a lot of really successful people do. So I don't see that as an indication right now. Richard says, I don't care. At least Pierre will cut the taxes and the country getting fixed like drug crimes. Bromsley says, Max is a sham, too sadly. And look, I've been very open about my opinion on Max myself. I don't think he's a quality leader, and the way he leads the party has shown that. There's a lot of really awful extremist people within the party that basically talk for the party, and never once has he called it out or tried to lead these stray cats. He doesn't lead. He just will do what he wants, and he runs the party like a like a communist party. There's no membership say. You can't even change the leadership even if you wanted to. Even if the members decided they want to change out Maxime Bernier, they can't, because it's a corporation. And that's why a lot of people who are reasonable people who were within the PPC have eventually left. Hey, David, I was going to tell you, I couldn't find your comment to comment back yesterday. So I said it at the beginning of the show. So if you rewatch this, you'll notice that I wasn't able to get a hold of you. So I'll give you the email now. It's info@unifiedgrassroots.com. So if you email me there, you'll get access to contact me. info@unifiedgrassroots.com. Yeah, why are there no big businesses making announcements like that in Canada right now? Yeah, why is that? because no big businesses are moving to Canada for opportunity. Um, no, I don't think I did. David asked, did you get my comment on your live yesterday? Grant says, the company I work for ships to the US daily. It's going to affect us. You guys are like, I don't know why you're commenting. You don't like the podcast. Just go. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. Just go. You don't even need to announce your departure. Just go. I just kind of find it really funny and pathetic when people do that. It's not for you. That's fine. Just go. Here, I'm going to see what else I've got. Okay, so who else was saying something about this tariff? I already covered the war. So this was one of the posts that I really like, and this was by Eva. So I'm going to read that one. Do not fall for the division, lies, smears, and fear campaign aimed at turning you against your neighbors and friends. Just a month ago, the name Trudeau and the Liberal Party were unbearable to most, yet now suddenly they are being portrayed as the solution to all our problems. Fear-driven choices do not build anything worth fighting for. They just keep you trapped in survival mode. In that the vision of Canada you want to is that the vision of Canada you want to fight for? Reject the fear, draw on your own strength, stop seeking quick fixes from others and start trusting in what you are capable of. Real change comes from individual effort. That is the root of our collective power. Relying on politicized narrative and partisan games only divides us further. It does not serve the people, it serves the players. Never forget, we are stronger together. That has always been true. This is a Canada I have always fought for and will continue to fight for. If you needed this reminder, it is because for years, many Canadians did not know what they were fighting for. But now ask yourself, do you know what you are fighting for? Is it a stronger, more united Canada, or are you just fighting because someone told you to? Interesting. Now, I want to talk also about like Western separatism. I don't have anything up, but I kind of brought that up as well. I'm going to see if I have something here. So the new polling, I'm going to bring that up quickly. New polling that have been coming out. Polling Canada, Liberal. I just got to find the latest one. Oh, another thing, that big announcement as well, that just shows like if you take all the barriers away and you say, hey, we're going to be open for business. Another big announcement was, I just see it. It's not this one here, but it reminded me of it. So all the companies that create the microchips in Taiwan have just announced they're going to be moving it to the US, especially when there's like threats of Taiwan being invaded by China. So a lot of the microchips that we have in everyday things, we kind of realized that during COVID, it was coming from Taiwan, but that supply stopped. So it stopped a lot of things that we have in Canada. So they just announced yesterday that they are moving their all of the microchip production, or most of it, to the US as well. But I didn't save that. I'm just checking here to see what else. I'm trying to find a new recent poll. If you guys have the new recent poll basically showing who had tweeted, I think it was Marty up north that had tweeted about it. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, it's not coming up. Here. Bromsley says it will still be a conservative majority. There's so much noise out there right now. And at first, I believed you, but then after I kind of talked to some of my left-leaning who were now supporting the CPC family members, a lot of them are leaning back towards the Liberal with Mark Carney. Okay, DJ says they're moving some microchip production, but the most complex chips will still be made in Taiwan. Do you have a reference to that? Can you send me that or even put it in the link in the comments? A link to that? Here. No, it's not that one. I'm trying to find the polling. And I want like the latest ones. Okay, but I did find Marty up north. I should have saved it. The joys of doing live. Oh, but this is an interesting, it's not that one, but it says government spending versus private sector investment from Alberta 1980 to 2025. So the private sector is in red. This is government spending. This was in 2015 when Trudeau got in. Oh, unless they're moderator, they can't drop links. Here. Oh, I can't even copy it unless I go. Bromsley says Carney's record will catch up. Connect says China will become our protectors once Liberals win the election. China will take the place of the US in protecting Canada. I'm terrified. And I think that's a joke, but there's a bit of reality in that too, just because there's so much foreign interference happening in Canada. DJ says, but even if you don't agree with everything you say, if I don't agree with everything you say, I appreciate you holding PP to account. And that's the thing. I don't like when people like support a party that they can't say for a second anything negative that party has done. My allegiance in my world, if you want to know what my motivation is, it'll never be to a political party. It's never been to a political party. When Sask Party in Saskatchewan was doing all the mandates, I came very strongly against Scott Moe and the Sask Party. Does that mean that I want NDP to get in? No, they would have been worse. Now, do I think the general public was ready for a new party? No, I think there has to be not right now, maybe in the future, maybe that will happen. But I stick to my beliefs and my core values more than I do to a specific party. When I see a party doing something that I think is damaging to our country, I'm going to say it, even if it's the party that I normally support. I'm going to say it. I think Pierre is failing here. He has an opportunity to lead the way and lead Canada to hope and freedom, and he has an opportunity to sell it to Canadians, and he's not doing that. He's being no different than Trudeau. Maybe not like as aggressive as Trudeau, but at the same time, I'm just trying to find it here. I can't find the polling. I'll work on that tomorrow. No, actually, yeah, tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm gonna be doing a regular show. On Thursday I have a guest. But I'll get some polling. Anyways, the polling was showing that Liberals were gaining momentum and Conservative was losing momentum. Why does this concern me? I think if Mark Carney gets in, I think Canada is going to be facing a way worse situation than it is now. It's just going to keep going downhill. And I think Alberta and Saskatchewan are going to become more serious at looking at separation from Canada. and potentially separating and becoming its own country, maybe, but then, or maybe separating and joining the US because the opportunity would be there. There'd be more protection, more access to market and such. And I think that's going to go way up if Mark Carney wins. Now, do I know for sure Mark Carney is going to win? No. But seeing a lot of Canadians that were supporting Pierre now like backpedaling and saying, well, Mark Carney is not Trudeau. No, he is. They don't believe it, though. They don't understand how he's way worse than Trudeau. But we'll see. I'm hoping that that won't be the case and that Conservatives will win a majority and we'll see huge change in Canada where we're going to open the markets for capital to come into Canada and settle in Canada for more business growth, for reducing the size of our government. I'm hoping that's going to happen so we're not spending so much. But like I said, I just seeing how easily Canadians are manipulated and brainwashed just with this response to the tariffs and what I'm seeing online, the booing of the American anthem, like all of that, I'm like, wow, they're so easily brainwashed. Like it's like COVID all over again. Like they're being taught to like monitor what their neighbors are doing. Are you buying Canadian? Like it's literally going along the same lines. And I think this is just a perfect example of that. Let's see what else I have. Now, there's a few other big moves that have happened worldwide that does affect Canada that I want to talk about. Here's one of them. The American firms are moving away from Chinese influence. Welcome news to reduce communist Chinese influence at the Panama Canal in Latin America. Another achievement for Trump administration. However, the Panama ports were sold to BlackRock, which is an American company, so it's basically coming back to America. But I don't have a high opinion of BlackRock, and I think most of my viewers don't as well. So it's going to be interesting to see BlackRock just having more power and authority over the lives of everyday Americans. So I'm not sure that's actually a good move. But I'm curious as to who is in charge of BlackRock. When I saw this, it made me want to go look into who runs that board. Let's see what else there is here. Oh, this is a report. I'll play the video here.
And found each charger charred in various shades of black. Evidence of the fire that broke out in this Littleton parking lot last night. And the fire chief says these flames were no accident.
At this point, it does appear that it was a set fire.
Around 1 a.m., firefighters were called to Constitution Ave and found 7 Tesla charging stations up in flames. They burned for nearly an hour until electricity was finally cut to the units, a challenge for firefighters.
The electricity is one of our bigger issues that we're dealing with and making sure that not only the public but the firefighters are safe. So we kept our distance from the charged electrical equipment.
And although investigators won't say what evidence was left behind, they do say it suggests arson.
It's suspicious based on the evidence that was found on scene.
Each charger charred in various shades of black. Evidence of the fire that broke out in this Littleton parking lot last night. And the fire chief says these flames were no accident.
At this point, it does appear that it was a set fire.
Around 1 a.m., firefighters were called to Constitution Ave and found 7 Tesla charging stations.
I was reading the comments. I got distracted. I started playing again. So people are burning down Tesla, asking to cancel Starlink. Tesla, which is a company that pushes for an electric vehicle company. So now what? Climate change is not a concern for the lefties anymore. So the interesting part of this was the comment that was attached to this video. It wasn't this one. There was another one. I'm just checking here. A Tesla charging station in Massachusetts was intentionally. The other one was like, they're all for climate change to push their Marxist agenda, but now that that's not fitting it, they're finding other things to push the Marxist agenda. which actually affects the climate change. So they'll just change on to the next new thing. Let's see what else I got here. Now, there's a tweet that's announced that Trump did that I found interesting. I don't know what it means, but let me know what you guys think it means. He posted on Truth Social. This was yesterday. He posted, "Tomorrow night will be big. I will tell it like it is." Now, so what is tomorrow night? That would be tonight. So there's a Congress. Oh, how do you say it? I'm going to find the video here. Where is it? There's an address happening. Gosh darn it. Where did it go? And there's like a plan to like filibuster his address tonight. I can't find it. Let's see if I can search it, because it was one of the things that were trending. So, what do you guys think it is that he's going to announce tonight? Do you think it's going to have to do with the Ukraine-Russia war? Or do you think it's going to have to do with the tariffs? I'm trying to find it, but it's not coming up. Yeah, it's not coming up. I had it saved. I think it was called Congress Address. Let's see. Oh, here's a video
and the renewal
by his press secretary. Let's play that one. See what
We're so excited. It's a big day and it's a big night for President Trump. And we know he's going to give a fantastic speech. The theme is the renewal of the American dream. And the renewal of the American dream is underway already. Look at all that President Trump has accomplished in his first month as president. He's going to highlight some of those accomplishments. He's also going to talk about his plans to fix the economic mess that was created and left for him by Joe Biden in his administration. He's going to dive into foreign policy, talk about his intention to end the war in Ukraine, talk about his plan to bring all of the hostages out of Gaza home. And he's also going to make an ask of Congress tonight. We need more border funding to continue with these deportations that have been incredibly successful because of the efforts of this administration, but we need more resources. We're so excited. It's a big day and it's a big...
So I'm curious as to what he's all going to be talking about, but they're saying he's going to be talking about foreign things as well. So maybe they'll talk about the Canada tariff. Now, she mentioned as well the peace works. I want to share this tweet that was made by Vladimir Zelenskyy. This was made at 9:37 a.m. Sorry. I'm going to read it out for the listeners who aren't watching. And I don't know if you guys can see it or if it's written too small. I would like to reiterate Ukraine's commitment to peace. None of us wants an endless war. Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than Ukrainians. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We are ready to work fast to end the war. And the first stages could be the release of prisoners and truce in the sky, ban on missiles, long-range drones, bombs and energy and other civilian infrastructure, and truce in the sea immediately if Russia will do the same. Then we want to move very fast through all next stages to work with the U.S. to agree a strong final deal. We do really value how much Americans have done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. And we remember the moment when things changed, when President Trump provided Ukraine with javelins. We are grateful for this. Our meeting in Washington at the White House on Friday did not go the way it was supposed to be. It is regrettable that it happened this way. It is time to make things right. We would like future cooperation and communication to be constructive. Regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it in any time and in any convenient format. We see this agreement as a step towards greater security and solid security guarantees, and I truly hope it will work effectively. Maria says Zelenskyy has 3 chances to sign that mineral deal. He's blown one of them. Let him stew for a bit longer. It's interesting. So that was posted this morning. Between this and Friday fiasco at the White House, he went to Europe and there was talks about Europe helping instead of the US. But I think people need to understand the reality of what the US is in the world. And in NATO, they fund 70% of NATO. Imagine if US was to pull that funding from NATO. NATO would be really, really badly hurt by this. But it's interesting to see his take now. I wonder if he went back, kind of checked checked his cards, or was actually shown what his cards were, and then he realized, oh crap, we need the US. Maybe his meeting with Prince Charles did that. I don't know. But it's interesting to see like the 180 degree. Now he's saying, okay, yeah, I'm willing to make a deal. Okay, David says, just called my MP, Mark Delton. His receptionist has no clue what is going on, how the Seas are losing hope. Told her he sounds like JT, and she said that is not what she hears. So, a perfect example of how to deal with Trump. Somebody must have told Zelenskyy, hey, the direction you're going is not going to be good. You need to switch it up. And you got to understand who we're dealing with. We're dealing with a narcissist here. Trump is a narcissist. Like, I honestly believe he fits the personality of a narcissist. He might not be like the most extreme cases, but he definitely fits the criterias. Now, how would you deal with a narcissist? One of the things is, especially one that has all the cards, you have to be very careful in your reaction to them and how you respond to them, trying not to trigger what normally would have triggered them. So I think whoever was talking to Zelenskyy gave him great advice and say, hey, okay, I'm willing to make a deal here. Let's figure it out when it's more convenient to you. And he's kind of going in that direction. I think using the similar types of techniques to deal with the trade war would be the better way to go about it. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my opinions on this is completely wrong. Maybe completely retaliating and going full tilt war on them is the right answer, but I can't see that because we just don't have the cards. So I think the best case scenario would be to build relationship and partner with those close to Trump, who Trump trusts, and going in that direction to get the message in, hey, can we work together here somehow? But I haven't seen any efforts whatsoever in Pierre. I haven't seen it publicly. It might have happened in the background, but I haven't seen it publicly where Pierre has kind of thrown a bone to Trump to build a relationship. From what I've seen, it's kind of been strayed, maybe more so than ever before. Maybe he's doing it because he thinks, well, if we're going in that direction, it's going to hurt the polls. He's hurting in the polls either way. So the WEF and NATO, Shelley says the WEF and NATO tells Zelenskyy what to do. They're evil. Neil says they need to start following social media. David says, told her he sounds like JT, asked if she saw his press conference this AM. She said no. How invested are they? Wow, wow, wow. The thing is, I think a lot of them are so afraid right now that they're gonna do the wrong step, that they're not taking any, like, strong steps. They're just so afraid it's gonna be the wrong one. Maria says, "What is," I think she's responding to David, "What is wrong with them? Are they too cocky to pay attention or what? Disappointing." Um, I don't know if it's that, to be honest. I think they do so many different things, right? Like, all these elected officials have all these people who call them for all these different things. I don't think they have time to watch everything. And again, I'm watching it because I'm getting a show ready to kind of show you guys what is happening across Canada. So that's why I'm like watching all these videos. I don't know if I wasn't doing a show, if I'd be watching all of them. I probably would be watching some of them. But we the same thing with, like, Trump. We think Trump's gonna deal with this, like, we think that the tariff, the Canadian tariff is, like, the first thing on Trump's mind right now. Like, he's got a million things that are just as important. Not a million, I mean, I'm using a high number there, but he has a whole bunch of things that are really important right now that he's dealing with. This is just, like, one small portion of that. But to us, it's, like, the biggest portion, because to us, this is the what will be affecting us the most as a country. But to Trump, this is just like a small little glimpse into everything they're dealing with. So we're seeing it from our perspective, but not necessarily from Trump's perspective. So I think it'd be great for someone to be close to Pierre Poilievre, who knows and understands the way Trump's likely to behave, who has read his book, The Art of the Deal, for one, and who can kind of give the perspective of Pierre. Like, Pierre already gets the perspective of the media, but does he get the perspective of his voter base, his conservative voter base? Does he get the perspective of the general public that's in the middle? Or is he just following media thinking that's all Canadians? Because it's very, very skewed. Like, I asked someone earlier said that the sentiment for separation for Alberta and Saskatchewan is 15%. I asked them earlier, what gives that away? What tells you that? Have you seen, like, a full poll done? Have you or are you just going based on people who are willing to vote for a separatist party? Because a big portion of people who are separatists would support it if it came from the current party that is in government. That's a majority of people. They don't want to vote for a separatist government because they don't want the lefts to get in and the vote to split. Like, you can't go based on that. You have to go based on the general population. And, like, of all, like, a lot of the people that I know, and some of the people actually shocked me, they're for separation, especially if Mark Carney gets in. That sentiment is even higher. I'm going to bring it up to my board because I would like to see. I am the president of a conservative organization in Saskatchewan, and we have a Facebook group of 14,000 people. I wanted to do a polling in there, just get the general sentiment. And then there's a company who's going to be polling as well. So I'm just waiting for the results of that polling. But there was polling done in the US, which I'm going to be going on the show tomorrow for Rasmussen report. So Mark Mitchell, I've talked about him. So I'm going on his show tomorrow night, and we're going to talk about a poll he did on Americans. And I was shocked by some of the data. So some of the data shocked me. Like, 60% of Americans thought Trudeau did a good job. I was like, who did you poll? So, but the sentiment for separation, like, for some of the provinces in Alberta, it asks if some provinces in Canada wanted to join the US, would you be for it or against it? And it was 67% was for it, of Americans were for it. And these were the same ones who said that they thought Trudeau wasn't so bad. So it's interesting to see, like, the sentiment, but, like, I can just get a glimpse of, like, the people around me, and that gives me an idea, but again, that's slanted. I'm just waiting here. Um Oh, there's conversations happening between a few people. if FGT Trudeau was up there this AM saying less than 1% of fentanyl goes through our border. Lies, lies, lies. Yeah, I don't think it's less than 1%. Richard says it will get worse if Liberals and the NDP get back in. Then stop BITCHING when Canada goes under. Richard says, I would vote for the 51st. I live in BC. Wouldn't blame you if you email. Okay, she's responding to someone else. Shelley says, sorry, but Pierre is a sellout globalist puppet. That's just what is caught. Okay, I think Neil's talking about the fentanyl. What else do I have? I have a couple more tabs here, and then I'll close the episode and I'll be back on tomorrow. The Epstein file, there's a bit of an update.
Okay. I want to be clear because I think people got frustrated because they.
Here.
I want to be clear because I think people got frustrated because they were expecting more. You were expecting more, and you didn't find out less than 24 hours before the release. You got a whistleblower that confirmed that there were way more documents that they were supposed to turn over, and then you found out just before that.
Well, sure. And you're looking at these documents going, these aren't all the Epstein files. You know, there were flight logs, there were names and victims' names. And we're going, where's the rest of the stuff? And that's what the FBI had turned over to us. And so a source said, whoa, all this evidence is sitting in the Southern District of New York.
Yeah.
So based on that, I gave them the deadline, Friday at 8, a truckload of evidence arrived. It's now in the possession of the FBI. Cash is going to get me and himself really a detailed report as to why all these documents and evidence had been withheld. And, you know, we're going to go through it as fast as we can, but go through it very cautiously to protect all the victims of Epstein, because there are a lot of victims.
Well, you had identified in phase one over 254.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, is that the only thing that would be redacted? Will everything else be made public that you get in your possession?
Yeah, the FBI hasn't had, obviously, they haven't looked at the thousands of pages of documents that they've just received Friday. Yeah. But Cash has a team going through them, and it's always about protecting the victim. But you know what? We believe in transparency, and America has the right to know. The Biden administration sat on these documents. No one did anything with them. And why were they sitting in the Southern District of New York? I want a full report on that. You know, sadly, these people don't believe in transparency, but I think more, unfortunately, I think a lot of them don't believe in honesty. And it's a new day, it's a new administration, and everything's going to come out to the public. The public has a right to know. Americans have a right to know.
And that goes the same with the JFK files,
JFK,
RFK files,
Martin
MLK.
Luther King. Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. What are the things? I want
to share my thoughts. She looks really nervous in this interview compared to how I've seen her before. She's been getting a lot of flack for the Epstein file and the binder and that whole fiasco. I'm wondering if it doesn't make me think something is sketchy or that they're trying to hide anything. For me, it just makes me think, well, she got attacked a lot for that, and I think it's making her more nervous and a bit insecure. That's almost like how her body language is reading. And I'm hoping once we all start getting all the information released publicly, that will change, because I really do like Pam Bondi. I don't think it was a mistake that she purposely did. I think they were put in a really tough situation. They weren't sure how to deal with it. And I think if they had come out with that letter before the binder and made that public, it would have been better, because it would have warned everyone, hey, what's in here is not everything, but we're working on getting everything, which they didn't do it that way. Maybe they did, and it just didn't make its way public enough. I don't know, but she seems a bit insecure and nervous in this interview, just based on like kind of what I'm reading. So yeah, I don't know when that's going to be released. Okay, this was the tweet I was looking for earlier. about the address happening tonight, the congressional address. So some Democrats are plotting to disrupt Trump's speech to Congress tonight by using a variety of tactics, including noisemakers, hand clappers, signed eggs, and walkouts, report Axio. It's going to be interesting to see if that's actually going to happen. The comment, throwing eggs in the same room as the president, let alone in Congress, is illegal. There was someone mentioned that they had suggested every congressperson to invite someone. So some people had concerns about the safety, how safe it was going to be for Trump. David is responding to Neil. Where is this border czar or fentanyl czar after the announcement? He has never been seen. He's a Trudeau buddy, so we know that. So David said, I think Pam's word choice when Hannity gave her now protecting security interest means she will protect VIPs. I don't necessarily think that. I don't think, because a lot of people know what's in there. I think that would eventually come out. I don't know. Heather says, Bondi probably had her life threatened. I'd be scared if I was her. Maria says, them Dems are all nuts. Holy crap. I think she's responding to the fact that they want to filibuster or disrupt Trump's speech tonight. Anyways, I'm going to be watching it because I want to know what's going to be said, especially with everything happening with the tariffs right now and the threat of retaliative tariffs, and then Trump saying that I think I showed you guys, Trump basically said, yeah, I did show it. If Trudeau does this, we're going to tariff even more. I'm just going to see if there's anything new. Oh, there was another thing I wanted to show that was really interesting. And I'm going to call on you guys to look to see if that same thing is happening here. Here it is. So there's been all these videos. These are 14 videos of like politicians responding or making a video. Anyways, they're all saying the exact same thing. Where is it? I had it saved. I thought this was a video, but it's not. It's just a picture. Here's one.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump has done nothing. Goose eggs to lower prices for you. Instead, he's pardoned violent criminals.
I win, I will immediately bring prices down.
This is their videos.
That ain't true. That's what you just heard. Since day one of Donald Trump's presidency, prices are not down, they're up. Inflation is getting worse, not better. The prices of groceries, gas, housing, eggs, of essentials, it's not getting better, it's getting worse. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has done nothing. Goose eggs to lower prices for you. Instead, he's pardoned violent criminals who savagely beat police officers on January.
They're all saying the same thing. There's like 14 of them.
Payments to family.
So they've been given a script and all went along with that. You kind of see that in Canada happening as well, especially when there's like they'll get like a talking point and they'll all say the same thing. And I think we see that as well, not just on the liberal and conservative side. I think people sometimes will see something and they're like, oh, that's good material, we'll use it, but not to this level. This level was like a big long script, 1 minute and 22 seconds. All of it is basically the same, and there's 14 of them. So I'm curious as to who wrote that. Is that the World Economic Forum writing that and sending it to them? I don't know. But yeah, I'm curious if we're seeing the same thing happen in Canada. I don't think to that level, but yeah, they'll have talking points and they'll repeat the same thing over and over again. But yeah, it's interesting. Anyways, it's the definition of propaganda, Shelley says, and it's true. There's this belief in the Liberal Party, and it's actually true. If you repeat a lie over and over again, people are going to start believing it. And I think that's a classic case of that. So, but yeah, it's and like Climate Barbie, I don't know if is it Catherine McKenna was in a bar once where there was a video where she was saying this. She says, "Oh yeah, if we repeat it over and over again, Canadians will believe it." So she even talked about it publicly. So, anyways, I'm gonna leave you guys there. I've got to go pick up my son from school, and I will be back tomorrow. I'll try to be a little bit earlier than today. I don't know what the show will be about, so I think it's been a bit later because it's taking me a little bit longer to figure out what I'm going to kind of cover, and I want to make sure I have like enough information for each topic that I talk about. So this show is a lot more work than I thought initially. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do it daily so I can name it Your Daily Dose. And now I'm thinking daily might be a little too much. So, because it stops me from being able to do some of the other work that I do with my organization, Unified Grassroots. So, but yeah, David, if you're still watching, I'm just going to reiterate, if you send an email to info@unifiedgrassroots.com, then I'll get it. And then I can send you my own email after. But that's the only one I have public. I'm getting a website done, so they're working on it right now. And then I'll have my own email as well for the show. And yeah, so on Thursday, I have Mark Mitchell coming. I'm just going to bring up his account. I think with Rasmussen Report. I don't know how to say it. I should watch his show, make sure I know how to say it properly. But he's coming on my show this is him here, on Thursday, and I'm going on his show on Wednesday. So tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to watch it, he's a pollster, and he's a very well-known pollster. In the US. Anyways, so he tweets about a bunch of stuff. So yeah, he's coming on my show on Thursday. I'm going to try to get, more guests. I just don't know who yet. So if you have any ideas of guests you'd like to see me bring on the show, I'm trying to not go like too extreme. So if it's like guest that like always shares like constant conspiracy, then probably not going to bring them on. I'm trying to be more middle ground to a certain extent. I am a conservative content creator, so it's not that middle ground. But anyways, so yeah, Mark is coming on my show Thursday, and he's going to talk about the poll that he did on Americans for the sentiment for Alberta and Saskatchewan, or some provinces potentially joining the US. So we're going to talk about that. I'm hoping that the new poll too, there's someone doing a poll on Alberta and Saskatchewan too right now. So I'm hoping those results will come out soon. Oh, I wanted to share too. Who shared it? There's a group of people from Alberta. Jeff Rath's talked about it, that are going here. So yeah, I had Jeff Rath on my show. I'll just share this quick. I'll let you listen to it.
Yeah, we're moving forward with people that we know within the administration, and there's a group of very prominent Albertans that are very interested in pursuing.
Do you have any contacts in the Trump administration?
Okay, it wasn't that. There was Rachel Parker had tweeted about it. Oh, here it is. I'm just going to make it bigger. Give me a second.
Administration about Alberta.
Alberta statehood.
Well, there's a group of Albertans that are working together right now to put together a delegation to go to Washington to talk to the Trump administration about Alberta petitioning for U.S. statehood. It's quite evident that we're being governed by idiots in Ottawa who don't understand that we can't afford a trade war with our largest trading partner. And rather than simply apologizing to President Trump for not meeting our NATO commitments and not adequately securing our border, apparently the Trudeau government has decided to declare a trade war and run up trillions of dollars in costs like they did during COVID on a made-up emergency. So there's a number of us in Alberta that have had enough and want to go speak with the Trump administration about the benefits of Alberta joining the United States.
On Alberta statehood.
Well,
I'm just going to see what else. So it says Alberta lawyer Jeffrey he has not yet taken his proposal for U.S. statehood to Daniel Smith. They obviously have their interests. Certainly, groups of private citizens are engaged in a very high-level discussion with the Trump administration. So that's what he said. Someone in the White House press corps needs to ask President Trump about this. Maybe. I actually know some reporters that work at the press at the White House. So I'm going to reach out to, I know one, I'm going to reach out to her. I mean, I became friends with her in Washington at CPAC. So I'm going to find out to see if they can ask. Somebody did ask Trump last week about it. And he kind of like played it off. I don't know if it's because he didn't quite understand the question or if he's trying to play it off strategically, being strategic. I'm curious as to like, where is he at with this? Like, is this something really being discussed? Because in the report last week, when a press person asked him, the press person said there's several government officials in Washington discussing this. Who were the government officials discussing it? Were they from Alberta? Were they from Saskatchewan? I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to see. I'm really looking forward to seeing what that poll reveals for Alberta and Saskatchewan, what the sentiment is. But yeah, if you guys have any polls or anything, send it to me. I'd like to see it. And I honestly think if Carney wins, if Liberals do get in, or if the Conservatives don't get a majority government, I think we're going to be seeing that sentiment go way up. But anyways, I'll let you guys go. If you don't follow me already, you can do so on all platforms. Search Nadine G. Ness. I'm on X, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. I think I got them all of them. Yeah, search Nadine G. Ness. All of the big ones. I'm not on all the small ones. And then I'll be back tomorrow, probably around 12:30. See you guys then.